Esteban, I wish I had taken Spanish too, so I could tell you how I'm feeling right now.
He speaks English.
Hello, everybody. Today we are talking film, and this is a film that is an unusual movie to review. Let's just talk about the title, Pastor Shepherd. It was released in 2010. The reason why it's unusual is because we know the filmmaker. His name is Edwin Marshall, or as we know him as Eddie, our friend Eddie from church.
Yep.
From growing up with him. And so I had never seen this film, and Eddie's a good friend of mine. I see Eddie all the time, and we talk all the time. We're text. I consider him one of my best friends. So I'll say that. So this review is weird. I've never seen Pastor Shepherd. I know he directed it, and produced it, and so he thought it would be a good idea that we reviewed it.
Okay.
So I told him, I go, Eddie, we're going to review it good, bad, or indifferent. We're going to tell you, or we're going to tell the audience what we really think. And I have a lot of opinions of films. And are you ready? And he said, I'm ready. And in fact, bring me on afterwards. So I think we're going to bring Eddie on, and we're going to talk about this film.
That'd be great.
Bring me on afterwards, and let's talk about what worked and didn't work. So he was already ready for our bad review. If we have a bad review, he says, "Tell me what didn't work." Jake, can I tell you something? Do I not have strong opinions about films?
Yes, you do.
Yeah. I am going to tell you this, and I don't know how you feel, but I told him I'm going to tell the truth. And I am so glad to say that I like this film.
Okay.
I don't know what you're going to say, but before you tell me what you're going to say, I have this rule of thumb about movies that I review. As strange as a film might be, because to me, this film is weird. This is a weird film. In fact, I can't compare it to anything. I have a couple of thoughts on certain films, I guess, that maybe can be compared with this one. Let's just talk about it before I just came out and said I liked it. But it's directed by Edwin Marshall. The writers, and we should mention them because they go a long way towards me liking this film. Ben Going and Matthew F. Perry. Starring Danny Trejo, Don Worley, and Maria Elena Las. It's about a pastor, or at least I thought it was about a pastor going in, but it's actually about a man with a mother who loves televangelists. And what he does for a living is he sells, I don't even know how to word this properly, freeze-dried pets. Oh, I did it. Freeze-dried pets. I don't know really even what that means, even having seen this. Stuffed pets, frozen pets, it's weird. I'm telling you, I can't compare this movie to anything. I will say this, I was confused up until the end because one of the reasons why we reviewed this movie is because it has pastor in the title. So I thought it was about a pastor. And I told you this. I go, this is why we reviewed it, is because I thought it was about a pastor and how he ran his flock. In fact, he's not a pastor. As I mentioned, he's a salesperson. He's a salesman. But there's a twist in the end that I won't reveal. Ruben, why do you like it? I have a rule of thumb, and that's this. And I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to let you take off, and I'm expecting you. I don't know what I'm expecting you to say, but here's my rule of thumb. If a movie makes me laugh multiple times, and when I say multiple times, I'm laughing out loud 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times out loud, I'm going to like the movie no matter what. And I laughed out loud. Jesus loves you. We love you too. We'd love you to pick up that phone, call us, donate. The security guard comes up to Pastor Shepherd and says, well, Shepherd, I got a phone and a flashlight. I'm not afraid to use them. There's a scene with the doctor. This is the last thing I'll say, and I'll let you go. So the mother is, I think, dying. She's in a bad state. And there's a moment where the doctor pulls up to check in on the mother. And he checks her vitals. And Shepherd says, Don Worley, we got a fantastic performance. I'm sorry. I've never seen him since. I've never seen him before. I thought Danny Trejo was good, but I will say this guy is good. His performance was really funny. I found empathy with him and I liked him. But the doctor says, so Pastor Shepherd or Shepherd says, how's she doing? What's wrong? And he says, well, she's cacking the backen. And the pastor says, what? Well, she's about to ride into the sunset. I laughed. It's so so inappropriate for a doctor to say that. And you're asking the question, what does that mean? And even Shepherd says, why did you just say she's dying? Why are you saying she's cacking the backen? The movie made me laugh. Is it strange? I have one criticism for it I want to bring up. I like it. What say you, Jacob?
Wow. I'm actually a little surprised that you liked it.
I knew you would be.
But I'm not totally surprised because I was watching this movie and at first I'm thinking, wow, what's going on here? And I kept watching. This is one of the only movies I could honestly say that it just got better as it went on. Okay. I could have, if I shut it off for the first 15 minutes, I would have messed up because there were some gems as you went on. I will say this, I can't recommend it overall. To be fair to the audience, I just can't. It's not. I felt like it was not. It wasn't cohesive. It felt like it dragged at points. I agree with you with the acting though. Danny Trejo, I've seen him in films. I thought he did a fine job. But the one that blew me away, and I had to do some investigation, was Pastor Shepherd character. Just, dude, he was all in. He was all in this character. I think he created this character. It seemed like I did a little research on him, right, Ruben? I think he created it. If not, he sure put his whole heart into it. And every scene he was Pastor Shepherd. And I'm with you. I thought it was going to be a take on religion or on the church or on being a leader. It really was. It really did deal with this relationship with the mother, and there was some love. There were some pieces of some scenes in the film that you said, "Wow, there's some tenderness there regarding the mother and the son, and not so much the mother towards the son, but the son towards the mother, because the mother was pretty like comatose most of the time." And so like you said, not at the end, you don't want to spoil it, but this relationship not only with the mother but even with this girl, which was his girlfriend. I don't say his girlfriend, but girl he liked, Danny Trejo's daughter. That was a sweet relationship. I just felt, I guess I was wanting more in the beginning. Like I said, at the end, I was like, okay, this turned out okay. You gonna say something?
I have never, or I have to be careful how I phrase things.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely see a movie. I want to talk about the direction too. So I mentioned the writing and the directing, but let's talk about the performances because you mentioned Don Worley, Pastor Shepherd. All in, and I agree with you. All in. But if you look at every single performance, and I mean every single performance, dude, every single performance, that security guard I think about. And I also want to mention that doctor who said at one point, he goes, I have a prescription for your mother. And he says, what is it? And he said, give me a pen. And he writes it down. And he goes, and he puts up the word fun. She should have some fun, and you should too.
Right.
That was a funny bit. His performance was this much in this much of a film, and it was not wasted. None of those performances were wasted. It's so unusual to see that. So when you mentioned Don Worley, Pastor Shepherd, 100% I agree with you. His performance was all in. And it's so interesting knowing Eddie. I would never have thought that he would pick material like this, because it's very silly if you think about it. And when I think about Eddie, I don't think about silly. I think about a guy who's actually pretty serious. And I've read some of his scripts, and he always veers towards some intensity, and he's an intense guy. This film, this material is so whimsical, and I'm really appreciating these characters. And the direction was actually pretty light on its feet. It didn't oversat it. He just put the camera there, and he took you there, but he also put in some very subtle moments. And I keep thinking about that doctor scene, because that is one of the best scenes in the film. And I don't know.
I did have an issue though. I mean, you're talking about characters. How about the Dewey character, the boss? I felt like he actually is an excellent actor too. We didn't mention him because he really performed very well. At the same time, I felt a little uncomfortable with it. Some of the lines, you know,
So we just Pot and Delivered just went woke.
no, I wasn't trying to get woke. No, I'm just saying that
what are you uncomfortable with?
well, some of the words that were, I mean, it's not the woke, but I don't think I would have used the word, excuse me for saying this word, retard. I just don't think it was appropriate. Even if it was somebody who has special needs, I just didn't like it. And I'm not even trying to be woke here. I'm just saying that just seemed kind of outdated, that type of language. I thought, yes, it's funny that this guy is his boss because he's pushing him around. That was funny, but
incredibly ridiculous. So I hope that people 50 years from now don't judge us by our standards.
Right.
Seriously.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying judge. I just didn't like it.
And by our lingo and by our verbiage. I hope that doesn't happen to us, because that's what we're doing to them. We're judging even 15.
I'm just saying I didn't like it. I'm not saying I'm judging it.
Let me finish, sir. Let me finish, sir. Am I allowed to finish, or is it the Jacob Show?
It's Jacob Show now. Go ahead.
Okay. I recognize that you don't like it, but I'm reacting to that. I feel like we're judging our standards of today, because clearly the filmmakers would not have done. Oh, you disappeared. At least on my screen, you disappeared. Maybe it's different, but clearly you didn't like it. But our standards are different from 15 years ago, and so yes, those filmmakers would not make this film today. But you have to judge it as it is, and it's funny. And if we were to, I didn't bring up those scenes only because I had to bring up these other scenes, but I think those scenes are great. His performance is great. His boss's performance is great, and the script is well done. Yeah. I will say overall, here's my only critique of the movie. I didn't think one time during the whole movie that it was a low budget film. Clearly it's a low budget film, right? I mean, it's
yeah,
but it never came into my mind that it was a low budget film. To me, it was just well done. It was well written.
Well, I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I think the director of photography wasn't the best, but I thought the directing was great. Meaning you could see the directing with the performances, but I didn't think that. And I would like to hear Edwin Marshall talk about it, because I just didn't think the DP was that
Well,
good.
here's my opinion. Here's my opinion. I didn't feel from watching this movie that I never got out of the film, meaning I was just watching. And I guess for me too, I'm all about behavior. I love interesting behavior. I'm fascinated about this Don Worley guy, this Pastor Shepherd. You can't get your eyes off of him. Then you see the girl, the woman. We haven't talked about her.
Yeah.
She's fascinating. Danny Trejo, I was actually very worried. I was thinking, I don't think he's going to do comedy. Very funny. For me, I got out of the film at the end, where I started thinking, oh, this is low budget. Is the scene where they have the televangelist, where
Yeah.
they visited this thing, and the set was just too low budget for me. I wish they had dropped a big amount of money to rent a big hall or a big
Make a
church,
church or something.
a mega church, and that would have really brought it home for me.
I agree.
But other than that, I felt like I was involved with this movie. I don't agree with you at all. In fact, I'm gonna give you we talk about red apples. Last time we did a kindergarten cop, you go, let's do three red apples for.
Are we gonna give 3 or 4 for this one?
I'm gonna give you negative green apples or negative apples for you saying that about, oh, I don't like their language. I don't mind that language. It's inappropriate for our standards, but everything changes. And I recommend it. Jacob doesn't. Any last words about Pastor Shepherd?
No, I think it's worth seeing just because, even just to comment on our episode here, just so
You think it's worth seeing? I thought you didn't like it.
No, I said I can't recommend it, and I still don't. I don't like the director of photography's work on there. Some of the scenes didn't flow. So as a whole, I would say no. But there are a lot of things I liked, and I shared that as the film went on. I enjoyed it. I thought Pastor Shepherd, Don Worley character was all in, and even like you said, Danny Trejo. I didn't know what to expect, but he did his job, and he did great.
So you would rather see kindergarten? You would rather see the kindergarten teacher starting Maggie Gyllenhaal over this movie?
Maggie Gyllenhaal was in the movie.
The kindergarten teacher.
She wasn't in. She wasn't in
Maggie.
that movie.
Not kindergarten cop, kindergarten teacher.
Oh my God, I forgot about that movie.
You'd rather
No,
see
I would
that?
not rather. I'd rather see Pastor Shepherd for sure. Yes.
But you recommended the kindergarten teacher.
Gosh, did I really? It's been so long. I can't remember. I feel bad. I can't remember that one. But you know what? You make a good point. I remember Pastor Shepherd.
You should feel bad. You should feel bad because you're all over the map. So I recommend Pastor Shepherd. It's again. I want to emphasize this last thing before we sign off. If you can make me laugh this many times, it's a thumbs up, or it's a recommendation anyway. Thank you, everybody, for checking it out. Thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.